Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza Ann Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Biz Birthday Bash podcast. We are going in a totally different direction today. I have one of my friends from college on the show, Gennie. Hello, Gennie. Gennie Livingston of Eco Collective. And even though Eco Collective isn't in the creative realm per se, Gennie and I have stayed in touch throughout the years, and she runs a business now that has 10 employees, right?
Well, it's
Is that
a
where
team
you are
of 10,
now?
so there's 3 owners. Yep.
Okay, so 3 owners and 7 others. the peasants. I'm just kidding.
Seven really cool people that somehow decided to work for us.
Yes. And so for people who are listening and wondering, you know, what happens beyond just building from myself to a virtual assistant to even bigger, right? When you start, all of a sudden it's snowballing, you have a bigger team. We've never really had anyone talk about that before. So I was really excited to have you on. And Genevieve, your bio is like actually in the first person. So I'm just going to let you introduce yourself. And instead of awkwardly like read it on your behalf. So just go ahead and like tell us a little more about you.
Well, I'm so happy to be here because I love y'all's podcast. So I am the creative director. And so I think in that way, we've always loved staying in touch because we both love that creative side of business. So that's been super fun for me. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm overseeing a lot of design decisions as we rebrand. But a little bit about me. I live on a sailboat, and with my husband and our Labrador. And I'm super into really anything outdoors, climbing, camping, racing sailboats, all that. But the rest of my life is spent here at the warehouse.
I love how you just were casually like, and we live on a sailboat. I'm like, just the casual sailboat living, you know.
Apartment house, sailboat, same.
To me, I always forget because that's such a normal part of your story to me, Gennie, that like when other people hear like, and I live on a sailboat, that's, you know, not something you hear every day. So tell us how you ended up on the sailboat.
Oh my gosh. Well, I would say I always like knew that I would live aboard, and I had before this just for like a summer on Lake Union. But on my husband and I's first date, he said to me, he was like, I want to live on a sailboat. I want to sail around the world. And I was like, this could work. I could see this going somewhere. So a few years later, we started touring boats, and it's 40 feet. And we just take it all over. Like, it is where we live, but it's also, you know, we take it out for the weekends. We'll go stay in nearby ports. It's super cute.
It sounds like a pet where like we take it out on the weekends.
It is. It totally is.
So what's the sailboat's name? Boats.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I like that.
We always wanted to rename it because
cool.
we're like, this doesn't mean anything to us. And then when we had our mini wedding because of COVID last summer, we got married on a boat called Heron. So now it has to stick.
Oh my gosh.
Super sweet.
How serendipitous.
Totally.
So all is well that ends well with the name of the boat.
Yeah. For sure.
It was meant to be. All right. So you have been on this basically sustainable living journey for a little while now. I mean, I remember back in a couple summers after college, right, where I ran into you at the Fremont Market, which, by the way, if we didn't say, Gennie lives in Seattle. I went to school in Seattle. So that is where we would have known each other. And that is when you were kind of starting a little bit of your journey. But had you been passionate about that a long time before? Like, how does this come into play in terms of like your passion? Because I know your degree was interior design, right?
Yeah, we always joke about that. No, not a single one of the owners of Eco Collective has ever like had more than like one business class. totally did not major in business. But yeah, so my love for sustainability, I think, I've had a lifelong connection to the ocean. And in my mind, that's sort of where I started to care about the planet, because everywhere that I've sailed, I do competitions, like I'll do nationals up in Canada or a worlds in like the middle of the country or something. And so I see the different impact of, our lives and the amount of plastic that we use on the ocean, because I'll sail past it floating there, But that, I think, has just been my whole life. Like, I've just enjoyed being outdoors. I've kind of had that love for like natural beauty products or natural foods, always been like a little bit of a hippie. But I think, you're right. It was after college, I got into minimalism, actually. And that, it totally was.
It was the gateway drug.
It totally was. Yeah. I did this thing called the Mins game. I don't know if you guys remember when bloggers would like very publicly catalog their projects on Instagram, but
don't they still?
That's like still going on. Is that-
it was like before curated feeds really hit mainstream, and so it was this game where for 30 days, on day 1 you get rid of one thing, and on day 2 you get rid of 2 things, and so on for an entire month, and you post that on your Instagram. Okay. So this was the era of like minimalism on Instagram, and I think through that I discovered zero waste just as a way to simplify your life. And I think I literally loved that you had to, you didn't need to run as many errands. Like, you could make your own things. You had refillable items, It just kind of clicked for me. It made a lot of sense. But I think it was also really inspiring. Like, for the first time, I felt like I had an actual traceable impact on sustainability. It wasn't just some far off idea of plastic and manufacturing. Suddenly it was, okay, I can do things to make less waste and to have, a lighter life on the earth.
I remember watching a water bottle documentary in college that literally like flipped my world upside down. And then I haven't shut up about it ever since. Like, the only plastic water bottles I think that I have even bought in the past, I don't even know. I just I don't buy them ever. But when the Texas weather disaster happened, I was like, oh, well, I need some as a backup for safety purposes. But otherwise, rarely ever. And if we do get like Gatorade or something, then I'm reusing them for weeks, like as water bottles. And Will has always kind of like teased me for it, but
it sticks with you.
I can't help myself. It sticks with you for sure. And like the history of plastics and one-use plastics is like something that I've also been passionate about, because it was after the world wars. And like, you probably know some of this, Gennie, like, and I think we were even talking about some of it when we grabbed coffee, is that after the war, they were mainly manufacturing plastics for like airplanes and like weapons purposes, and they had to come up with a way to make it mainstream so that their revenue wouldn't go away. So they introduced like one-use plastics for like the stay-at-home housewife, because you wouldn't have to clean up anything after dinner. You could just throw it away. And now the world is ruined.
And now here we are.
Yes. So I love you did that like minimalism challenge. And I do remember now that you had told me about that, because I had, asked that question at coffee, how you ended up here. But I totally feel like minimalism was 100% that gateway drug to you kind of figuring out,
because it's those
where you were going to go next.
It's like that experimental style, and it becomes kind of creative. It's like you have to creatively solve a problem. Like, okay, how am I going to get rid of waste from this one room or from this one habit? And so I think that's what's kind of fun is like you follow your inspiration, and it never gets boring. And I think you don't feel the weight of it in that way, because it's not about like, oh, I need to not use any plastic, but it's more like, okay, what can I do? Or how can I think a little bit outside the box? That part of it kind of hooked me.
Yes, for sure. And it is ironic that we are having you on the podcast, given that so many people who listen to us are wedding stationers, and like the amount of like paper we consume, like a little ridiculous,
in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That's good. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I just feel so guilty right now. Like, I have acrylic
I know.
sticks. I
wanted to get like a secondhand dress for my wedding, and I was like, this has to be like it's the only thing I can understand. Like, it's so important to me. And then I found a new dress and here we are. It's your wedding. It should be guilt-free.
Weddings get a pass. Yeah.
Weddings should get a pass. All right. So we have a whole list of questions for you. Believe it or not, we haven't even like really gotten to any of the official ones besides like where your passion for this started. But I would love for you to define for our audience who's probably not familiar with a lot of these terms, what's the difference between sustainable living and zero waste? Because for a while, your brand was kind of affiliated with zero waste, but then you've told me like there's a big difference. And which one is Eco Collective gravitating towards now,
I love
and
this
why?
question because for anyone who doesn't know, I recently visited Elizabeth in Georgia and we were sitting on a park bench talking about this exact topic. And I think it's really important because, so zero waste is like the definition is simplifying your life by reducing your waste. And I think with sustainability, it's a much broader picture. And you're looking at, all of the impact of, everything in your life, not just the amount of trash that you make. And I think for me, it's never been about zero. I've never been one to keep my trash in a jar. We always laugh about that. But I think for me, it's been more about that positive and empowering approach that you can take. And because for us now, I think zero waste was kind of niche when it started. And now it's becoming kind of a norm. Like companies, even regular cleaning companies, for example, are sort of feeling the pressure to say, oh, these are recycled plastic bottles and it's ocean safe and biodegradable, And it's really cool to see that become like the bar, not the goal. And so I think for us, we've kind of zoomed out from that and we're saying, yeah, of course, we're going to have sustainable packaging and really good ingredients, but also how can we focus on the self-care side and putting the joy back in this so that, people don't feel guilt every time they want to get a cup of coffee or, take vitamins that come in plastic or something like that.
Yes. What was the story you were telling me about? It was like a zero waste meeting or something like that.
Oh,
and
I know what you're talking about.
This is a story you told on your own podcast, so you can tell it in your words better than mine because I think
I know exactly what you're talking about. We have these zero waste meetups where basically everyone from Seattle that's interested in zero waste will get together once a month. And when we started, it was like 5 of us gals, and now it's a group of like hundreds. And we love this group because they're so down to earth. And I remember at one of their first meetups, one of the leaders, it was like their first big meetup. It was like 50 people. And one of the leaders goes, raise your hand if you still buy chips in a plastic bag. And the whole room was like guilty as charged. And we were cracking up because there are just some exceptions that, they're fun and they're favorite things. And yeah, we love to joke about it.
Yes. I mean, like Lay's just aren't the same unless you're like cracking them open from one of those fresh bags. So
I don't even know what the alternative is. I mean, like
not eating chips,
right?
I guess.
Like just giving it up. Out here, we have a lot of bulk sections in the grocery store, so you can like go without your container. But chips don't work that way. They get crushed, they get stale, and frankly, I just want to enjoy them.
Yeah. It'd be like grabbing some like Ritz crackers from a jar, and I'd be like, I'm good. I'd really prefer
not
them
even
like
hungry
wrapped,
anymore.
but thank you. I just lost my appetite.
Yeah, so we're definitely going more that sustainable route and taking kind of that pressure off, I would say, for sure.
Perfect. I'm going to let Cammie come in hot with the next question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to start back it up way more because Elizabeth, you know her backstory, but I don't even know like all the products you offer. And I don't know if our audience knows all about your business. So can we just like talk a little bit about that?
What a good idea.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Just coming in
yes,
from an
exactly. You've never met me.
I know. So.
This is the first time Cammie feels like she's missed the train instead of the opposite direction. Because I'm just like, let's just go for it.
I love it. I know. And it's so easy to talk to you guys. Yes. So Eco Collective started as a zero waste store with alternatives to everyday products that were either compostable, recyclable, or just with like really reusable packaging. And now, over the years, we've moved more in the direction of sustainable self-care. So we're focused on hair care routines, skincare, wellness items. We have gummy vitamins in bulk, like in reusable and compostable packaging, and journaling. So just all kinds of different personal care routines and wellness items, with the idea being that you can enjoy self-care without feeling, like you're hurting the planet at the same time.
I love it. I always love gummy vitamins.
Right?
I mean, if they're not gummy, I'm not taking them. Okay, let's be real. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, so how did you kind of get this started? Did you always want to become a business owner, or how did this
I love that
kind of
question.
grow?
I always imagined owning my own design firm one day. I was, interior design was my dream for so long. And I did work in that field for a few years and loved it. And I thought for sure I would end up opening my own design firm. I've always kind of been like a natural leader, or at least really enjoyed that, being the idea person and leading a team. But I was, working for someone else at the time at a really small firm and, wanting to do something a little bit different, even though I really did love my job at the time. So one day I wrote down all of the qualities that I wanted to look for in my next boss. And I was reading them to a friend who was a fellow interior designer. And she was like, "So you want to work for yourself?" I was like, "You're right. That's kind of crazy." And then I was like, "Yeah, I want to work for myself." So I think that shift happened for me at the same time as, starting the store, I always say, was like kind of a happy accident. Like I just loved researching zero waste things to try. Some of the classic zero waste things are like a reusable water bottle or a reusable safety razor with like blades you can swap out. There's so many different things that you can try. And so in getting really, really into doing these things for myself, I realized I had so many friends. I think I can hear your sweet cat in the background.
Yeah, he's meowing. I'm
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so as I started doing these things for myself and making these swaps, I had a lot of friends who were really interested in it and thought, oh, that's really cool. Like a solid dry shampoo or refillable skincare, they saw these swaps as like easy and fun, but figuring out what would work for them was a huge barrier. Like people weren't familiar with what sustainable products would work as well as natural, as normal ones. And maybe, ways that they could save money instead of spending more. And I just realized there was that huge access barrier. And so my original vision was wanting to put all of these things in one place so people could discover them without spending all the time of research and all the money trying 18 different natural deodorants that don't work, Yeah. So kind of like vetting the products. Yeah.
Or without it being like haughty or snobby, and like not to like,
oh yeah.
Do you know what I'm getting at? Like with the almost like the guilt trip sometimes of like, oh, you're not using like natural beauty products, or you're not using like stashers. You use resealable sandwich bags, like sandwich bags. Are you kidding me? And like I've never felt like with your brand over the years of like following it, that that's always an invitation. Like come in and let us like share this, let us like educate you instead of like no,
right?
like
don't
we're not
do
telling
that.
you
How much that you make in a year? We're not putting this in your face of like these cotton swabs are horrible. We're just saying like, hey, here's a fun, easy way. Like, try this, see if you like it. And people always ask me, like, where do I start? And I have to get to know you to know the answer to that. It just depends on what you're interested in. Like, if, like, say for creatives like yourselves, it would be something where I'd be like, oh my gosh, have you ever tried fountain pens and different colorful inks where you can refill, things where it can be something that you might enjoy and where you might want to make other changes. Oh, you're really into cooking. Yeah, like try this one food container that will totally change your life, Yeah. I want to keep it fun. I want to keep it guilt-free.
Yeah. I love my metal straws. So I have a few of those in the house now. I love my stasher bags and my like beeswax
the best
paper that's basically in the places saran wrap, which like Will is always like, what is this?
Yeah.
But then he's like kind of gotten into it because the other day he was like, babe, where's the like beeswax paper?
Oh
I
my
need to like cover some of my
The guys,
food.
I feel like, are always, this is a sweeping generalization, but in my experience, the guys in my life are like very skeptical, and then they get hooked on it farther than we do. My husband was like, we have like a solid dish soap block. And when I first brought it home, he was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not trying that. And then 2 years later, every month, he's like, can you pick up your dish block? We're like almost out. Like, we're still at half size. We're fine.
Right. Yeah, we've always done I think I was telling you this, Gennie, where we've always bought like a huge thing of dish soap, and then we have our small one, and we just like refill that as many times as we can.
I love how many different ways there are to do something. Instead of buying like,
I know. I hope our audience isn't like, what the heck are you guys doing?
I know. Totally. Go check out our website. You'll see what we're talking about. But it's fun. It's like the first time you hear of it sounds kind of crazy. But I think as you start to understand the different concepts, we don't get as many questions anymore about like, what is zero waste? You know, it seems to be like so much more approachable and understandable for people. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it is. I think it has become more so. I mean, honestly, I remember moving to Georgia and literally being like shocked that there were still plastic bags here. That sounds like so snobby. But after living in Seattle for 4 years, and everyone has like trash bins, recycling bins, and compost bins. They're all like a separate thing. And then, you know, you don't have any plastic bags in the state. Or is it just the city of Seattle?
I think it's just the city of Seattle, but I think they're working on statewide. Yeah.
Yes. And like moving here, and I was like rapidly accumulating plastic bags at the beginning before I was able to buy my set of like reusable ones that I take now, which Will loves because there's hearts all over them. I bought them during Valentine's Day.
Cute.
Super manly. So anywho, yeah, I don't know. It is kind of one of those things that like once you find the couple of things, you're like, ooh, this is fun, you know? Like I like that I always have my grocery bags that I use over and over again. And it's like, shoot, if I forget them, I'm so mad.
I know, and it's so hard sometimes, But I've kind of loved, like, over the years, too, talking with you about business and talking about different, like, creative pursuits or, like, marketing launches and fun things. Because I think that's really the most exciting part to me, too, is, like, whether it's, like, designing products or educating people on these different things that can be kind of obscure, but like sharing the passion, sharing the inspiration. I think that's like one of the best parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about growing your team, since that's what we're talking about here, you guys. Now that you guys have all your bags figured out. Can you tell us a little bit about how you found your business partners? I'm just super interested in how you made those connections, because obviously Elizabeth and I met in this Facebook group, and that's how our partnership grew. So I'd love to hear how you found your partners.
You know, it's always unexpected. When I first met Marimar, I was not even looking for partners at all. I was definitely like kind of on that high of running your own business and having so much fun. And I had this very specific vision. And she really expanded that vision for me. We met at a farmer's market, which was really fun. The same farmer's market that Elizabeth visited my little store at the very first time. So I remember she was biking through the farmer's market with her boyfriend, and she stopped and she was like, I know what this is. And I was meeting so many people that were excited about the idea that like I didn't even, really make a huge deal out of it in my mind. I just was like, oh yeah, fun, meeting new people. But we set a time to go get coffee, and I started learning more about her. And as we became like fast friends almost immediately, there was something where her skill set really complemented mine. And that I think is what we found as a huge strength as the three co-owners, is that we all have really different skill sets. And Marimar, she knew different things about business setup. She was super experienced in that area, and she wanted to see our store grow in an online way, which I hadn't even really considered. Funny enough, I was like, I just want my perfect little store in Ballard. I want to design it, And so I think, in meeting her, I realized she was kind of my perfect other half. And I found that our, creative differences helped too. Like she wanted to do operations and wanted me to like pick the products and, you know, design things and have the ideas. And she kind of wanted to help it run. And so she was really into that more businessy side of it. And so I think in that we sort of found that balance that really helps. So yeah, I was not expecting it, but I feel really lucky. And we spent a lot of time figuring out, like, do our personalities blend? You know, is this going to be a good balance, a good back and forth? And she really kind of looks to me as like the vision, the creative voice, and has just been so supportive since day one. And yeah, I'm super lucky.
That is the cutest story I've ever heard. You're like, meeting at a farmer's market. Could this get any cuter? I cannot.
I love it.
Okay, so when was that? How many years have you guys been working together?
The like late summer 2017. So what is that, like 4 years? Wild.
Yeah,
Wild.
4 years ago.
So I think we started working together that fall of 2017.
Okay. Very nice. See, I remember dates well too, and Cami is always like giving me a hard time.
Everything is the other day. Like the other day could mean yesterday. It could mean 10 years ago. It could mean a week ago. Like it was the other day.
I'm like in March 2017, and Cami's like, "Good Lord, how do you even like remember?"
I know, and it feels so long.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2017 is starting to like feel long ago. It's so strange. Okay, Gennie, as you started to grow your team beyond just the co-owners, what do you feel like major pain points have been for you? For anyone else out there who's kind of thinking of going this direction, right? Of like growing a bigger team.
I mean, it's scary at first, for sure, to really pick the people that are going to be on your team. At first, it's like, you know, scary to even like be on the other side of the interview table. But it's become really fun. We've like sort of over the years gotten to have it be a really fun experience when we're meeting someone new and really know pretty soon right away whether they're a good fit or not. We've been really lucky. We've had some amazing people work here. I know for us, it was honestly just the financial aspect of growing a team. It was totally worth it, but we didn't even pay ourselves in the beginning in order to like grow our team and have more people and more perspectives on our side. And I think that's worked really well because everybody has kind of had something to offer and been able to grow their role in different ways on the team. But it's also hard. One of my favorite people, Sarah, who we had here for so long, she left just like last winter, and she'd been with us for, I think, about 2 years. And so it was kind of heart-wrenching to have like one of your, you know, really almost close friends as well as coworkers. And she, you know, you always sort of wish that people are going to be like, you know, there forever. But she left to start her own business. Mm-hmm. And that to us is like the most exciting thing in the world. Like there's nothing we love more than like friends starting their own businesses and, you know, being in support of that. So it was a really sweet departure, but you know, it's hard. It's like you meet these amazing people and I think you just want to work with them forever. Yeah.
Yes, right. You're like, you're mine.
I know. No one ever talks about how hard it is to, you know, have these transitions or letting people go or they move on. Like they're always like, here's how to hire somebody. But what about when they choose to move on or something?
It's
like, that's
so
a whole
hard.
other
And
thing.
having those conversations, like we work really hard to have open communication, but our team is so much bigger so fast. A year ago, it was just 4 of us and now it's 10. And so having the team grow that quickly, I have had some learning curves as an owner and as a leader to say, like, how am I going to lead this team really well? And how am I going to, you know, uplift all the voices here and just learn to have that like honest feedback and open communication, because it is hard, you know, to kind of like set the pace and set that workplace culture. But I think we're getting to a really a good place with it. And that, you know, that part is a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because all of a sudden it's like you're not worrying about just yourself and one other person or just yourself and a coworker. It's like, how are we facilitating a positive environment? Or like, what's the culture of our business, right? It's this like living, breathing thing now that it has its own
And that was almost, it was one of the biggest reasons. So we had a retail store and then we got a warehouse for our online shipping once we sort of outgrew being able to ship from store. And fast forward to this spring, we actually closed the retail store. But part of that decision was us wanting for like our team to be so happy in their roles and like choose what they do, whether it's like, you know, a creative role or an operational role. But we wanted to have them here and really contributing in like fun new ways and be really invested. And that's been really rewarding to see people like doing things they love, like writing or photography or video. That's been just like a huge game changer.
Yeah, that is so cool.
It's really cool.
It is really cool. Like,
Guys.
I'm like freaking out. I just like love hearing your story.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh. Okay, can you talk a little more about the transition from going from an in-person store, like a brick and mortar, to just online? Like, what was some of the thought process behind it, and do you think it's been the right decision?
It's super nostalgic because I loved having a store, and we never even had time to like make it the perfect thing or to be there every day because having the online store kept us really busy. But especially in the last year, we always joke that we sort of accidentally trained our customers to shop online. we were closed for a lot of the pandemic, and we had to kind of rework a lot of our packaging. We sell like refillable skin and hair care in the store, and we sell it in mason jars, and people just come refill their mason jars. And so we had to figure out, okay, now we need maybe recyclable packaging or packaging that is compostable, that we can ship in. And so it's been some major growth and changes around here, and there's still changes coming in our packaging. But I think, part of it is that we feel this freedom now because we have barely scratched the surface of getting to design our own products and like really do private label. So like make our own collections in-house that are our perfect formulated skincare that like we really believe in, that we've researched, or doing that for hair care. And so that feels totally wild. It's like this fresh new chapter. And I think it's keeping us all really inspired.
So before, would you say that it so much of your time was spent kind of managing the store on an operational front that it was like you weren't getting to pull the curtain back a little behind the scenes, and really you didn't get the opportunity to dive into the business in a different way because it was like trying to focus on making that work? Like, wasn't it one of your co-owners asked you like, well, what would happen if we just had a warehouse? And you were like, I don't even think I've thought of it before. It never crossed my mind
because, again, in the beginning, I wanted a store. And that is, that felt like success in its own way because it was special. We built a community. We had this beautiful store on a corner in like one of the most popular neighborhoods, and it was magical.
I know. I was like, jelly. I was like, what in the heck? Like that, like a corner of our college town, essentially, where it was like,
oh my gosh. And it was so charming. Like that was my first dream. And I would have been happy with that. I would have been happy if it was just me working that retail desk every day. And I think that's the thing is like success doesn't look like one thing. A lot of us have one dream, but we don't see what's past that dream. And so it's been really freeing for me to see like now I have this new dream, which is, designing our own collection of things, our own products. And so that's been really special. Like, because with the store, I'm not going to lie, it's hard. Having a storefront, it's a lot of overhead. It's a lot of staffing. You have to keep the shelves stocked, Whereas with a website, you're very dynamic. You're very adaptable. You can change things quickly. You can market things and tell your story however you want. But you don't get that engagement, that in-person connection with your customers and with your community. So it is harder because you get into like website design and, manufacturing products and designing like labels and boxes. And it's hard. It's like a different kind of hard. But I think there's more room for growth online. And so for us, there's just been different parts of our story. But I think we could have had a lot of different chapters. And so, this one has been exciting, but I never saw it coming. Yeah.
Oh, I feel like one of the challenges, well, if I had a storefront, like I'm moving on to online, I feel like one of the challenges would be like your customers get to pick up the products and look at it and turn it around and hold it in their hands. And then going to online, you're like, oh, now I need to have this really dynamic product photography and create the same kind of experience. And I mean, that's one of my pain points now. And I've never even had a storefront, but I'm like, if they could just see it in person, they would 100% buy it. And so it's like trying to translate that to still photos is such a thing.
That's so true.
I just wondered if you struggled with that at all.
Absolutely. Because not only is it like a lot of work to create branded photography, like to have a setting and like a style to your pictures. Like we used to joke that you could tell who took a product photo and like when they took it based on the style. It was just like all over the place. Yeah. And
so
now
funny.
It's like you kind of had to like get it together and work a lot harder because you don't have that emotional attachment and you don't have that understanding. So a lot of our products are admittedly like still kind of foreign to people, like a toothpaste tablet. A lot of people have never heard of that. And so to be able to see it and smell it and touch it. But I think with COVID, a lot of businesses are having to get creative because you can't smell things. You can't like take off your mask or you can't have the same shopping experience. And so I think, people are having to get creative online. And I kind of loved that suddenly, Instagram Reels have arrived and, things like TikTok, because there's something different about video where you do get to see something turning and you get to interact a little bit. You get to see it in use. So I think that's kind of changed the game, but it's very challenging.
Yeah, very different to make that transition. But like you said, like it's been a good, healthy transition, and you've pulled in obviously so many people to like help you guys do all of these things and to excel at all of these things. So you had touched on a little before about, within the co-owners, you guys all have different personality types or strengths, weaknesses that balance each other out. So what are you looking for like within your team members as well at Eco Collective? What makes somebody like the perfect odd addition, or what makes them feel like they're the one during the interview?
Yes, totally. That's also, I think, a really important question because hiring people is like its own skill in and of itself. Really knowing who's going to be happy here and who's going to thrive. And I think that's really important because it's not about getting a job done. It's about feeling really engaged and connected and feeling like, I want to contribute. I want to create. Because for us, like we're a startup, so you kind of have to wear a lot of hats. You have to be really flexible, but we also are like, super laid back. And it's kind of that interesting like roles to hire for. So I think, for the most part, what I'm looking for during an interview is someone that has the passion, but also has a perspective that we don't have. They can speak to something that like we don't have a background in or we don't have an understanding of. And I think, getting just a multitude of opinions and views into the warehouse has been really cool. And kind of that like gives us that ability to speak to more people. And so also I think someone that can really roll with the punches and, because sometimes we will put aside every project to be like, oh, we're closing the store and we're reworking the entire warehouse or we're launching a new product. And so it's really fast paced, but like not in a way that is going to cause you to burn out or like is exhausting, but just more in a way that's like, okay, keep on your toes. Like what is fresh and what are people like loving right now in the beauty world and in the wellness world and what are the trends. And so I think I look for someone that can be a mix of, wanting to create within our vision and wanting to like own their role and really, kind of take on new projects and expand and help us grow in a way that we couldn't have without them.
I love that answer. It's such a good answer. You want people to be fulfilled. You want them to love being there. You don't want just someone who like checks the box of like, oh yeah, so-and-so will do the shipping orders today. And so, like these people are numbers. They are individuals with like strengths and passions. And why not put that to good use? I mean, I remember like when I was still working full-time before I quit, and occasionally my like boss would give me a task to do and I'd be like, why are you even giving this to me? Like I'm not like any good at this. I know that there's like another person in the office who could do it better, and I always felt like as a boss, if I were to ever step into the role of being a boss, that would be my first priority, is like, so-and-so is doing what they are passionate about and what they're good at and what will make this team better. Like, they're not just there to do my busy work, basically.
Yeah, and because we always say, like, somebody will ask, oh, do you think I could ever do product photography? Or do you think I could ever write blogs for you guys? And we're like, for sure. Like, but like, you create your future here, you know, like, it's something where we can give you time to do that. And like, the more, you know, we'll kind of give more and more projects as you pick up that new skill or that new thing. Or, you know, if you're coming in and we know that you have different passions that you're bringing in, like product design or branding or something, then we're going to plug you into those projects. And it's really rewarding because I think, you know, everyone's much happier if they're doing things that they love. And I think, you know, at the same time, it's like, you know, we're all getting to grow and to bounce ideas off of each other. And so when we go to do our reviews, like, we'll do like, you know, maybe every 6 months, like a little check-in, like how is this role going for you? What are you enjoying? What are you not liking? So we can get clarity. Like, maybe if something isn't working, it's because you want to be doing something slightly different, and we can give that opportunity. We can kind of co-create that with people. That part's been really fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
it sounds like you guys are doing a good job. Go ahead, Cami.
And with your team too, do you have like really specific positions for them? Because it sounds like you're really flexible within the role, being like, oh, you do this, but you also love brand photography. Let's see how we can add that on a little bit. And it seems like they're kind of like a fluid, very like versatile role. So can you talk about like how you choose these positions, and if you're looking to like hire someone in the future, like maybe there's a gap you're thinking of, like
totally.
What would that be?
So I will say we find ourselves like rewriting job descriptions all the time. Because like, oh, you really love doing this other thing, you know. But it's also a startup, so everyone is sort of chipping in with the hard work too. And so some of it is stuff you just got to get done. But yeah, so the roles right now, so I'm like president, creative director. We, the three of us owners, Summer is more CTO, Marimar is more operations. And then for the roles with all of our team members, I've got one gal that's kind of my marketing manager, and she does in-house photography. And I think for her role, like, we've sort of like added things like she designs email newsletters, and then now she's focusing more on photography. And so we do try and stay dynamic to what people are enjoying. And then we also have a copywriter. So somebody that writes for the blog, for the website, product descriptions, email campaigns. That's kind of like a new thing for us. And it's been huge because that's a lot of what I usually did, was like writing all those things. And there's so much, you know, writing and copy. And so, yeah, that's been really special having somebody that's such a good writer on our team. And then we have a warehouse manager, and we have 2 digital media assistants. So they do video. One of them is starting to learn how to edit our podcast, but just a lot more marketing. So it's interesting. We've seen a shift to a lot of more marketing with closing our store and going online. Yeah, but then everyone's also sort of speaking up in brand meetings and helping us pick packaging and fonts and colors, you know. So very collaborative, but they do have defined roles. Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. From a logistics standpoint, this is just like me being curious. And I don't know, because you're a creative director, not necessarily like operations. But what are you guys using to run payroll and like do bookkeeping, accounting? Do you have somebody in the business doing that? Someone outside? Yeah. Like, what's that look like for
Marimar
you?
has been doing all of that, but we're slowly starting to hire out like bookkeeping and accounting. We used QuickBooks. QuickBooks is my jam. That stuff is great. But that's really Marimar's realm. And then we use something called T-Sheets for time tracking, and that helps with payroll. Yep. So that's great. Yeah, everyone can like have it on their phones, you know. We really like that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've been to QuickBooks Connects a few times.
That's right.
QuickBooks Connect a few different times. Like, T-Sheets is like one of the big partners.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's the only reason like I know that name, because T-Sheets integrates with QuickBooks and Intuit and all that stuff, which is why I even have an understanding of some of that stuff. So payroll was run through QuickBooks then.
Yeah, okay. I know there's so many details like that like I really am thankful to Marimar for like knowing a lot of that. And yeah, like handling everything from like HR to, you know, the books, all of it. Yeah. But
that would probably be me. Like,
for sure. Definitely not me. I don't know who it is, but it's not me.
Yeah.
Oh, so now your role is basically creative director, which sounds super fun.
It's really fun.
So what's like a day-to-day?
Oh, yeah.
What does that look like for you?
Honestly, it's my dream job. So, each month I take some time to sit with my team and figure out, what things that we need to market that we already have on our shelves and what trends we're seeing and what things we want to get into the shop, new products, and kind of the tone for our marketing. So like right now, Earth Day is coming up and it's spring. So a lot of people are like getting out their SPF, so we're focusing on skincare. So I kind of I'm kind of the voice of the brand. And so I have those meetings. And then each week I meet with our marketing team to have fresh content ideas, to get projects delegated, to check in on projects and deadlines. And then a lot of what I do is either creating content or editing content. So I still contribute to our blog, to our videos, a lot of like telling our story. And then right now it's a lot of brand decisions. So we're having meetings to design our new packaging. We just brought on that I didn't even mention, another role in our company, is packaging design. Yeah, so that was our latest hire.
Cool.
It is so cool. She's really good at her job.
Oh my gosh, I want a packaging designer.
Oh my gosh, I'm like looking at some of our brand guides right now on the wall next to me, and it's been really fun. So I'm also looking basically, I think my day is sort of a mix of I'm answering emails, I'm writing, I'm working on different things, but then I'm like reviewing an email campaign that's supposed to go out. I am editing someone's video. I am, kind of signing off on colors that we've picked, things like that. So it's very, very interactive, which is really fun. I'm a big people person.
Mm-hmm. No.
we couldn't tell.
I love it.
I love it. Sass you a little bit. No, I know you're so great. You're just like really easy to talk to.
Yeah, I'm a Pisces, so my personality is kind of like a big Labrador. That's what I always say.
Oh, okay. That's so funny. I don't know like star signs super well besides the fact I'm a Leo and that's like it. So sorry to let you down.
My team is so funny about that. They're like, "Are you on CoStar? What does your chart say?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in a new world here."
And I'm like, I could maybe talk about the Enneagram a little, but I get like lost with star signs. And I like overheard a conversation in a bookstore in Asheville once where the woman was like, I don't know, possibly like Sagittarius or something. It was the funniest thing. I was like trying not to like laugh because I know for like some people, like they do take it really seriously. And she was like, I just really don't get along with anyone who's a Leo. And I was like, look up because like I'm over here. And I wanted to be like,
that's so funny.
I guess I'm not buying anything here. No, I think I still grabbed something, but
totally.
It just like cracked me up.
Some of the
like,
generalizations.
So yeah. Yes, for sure. With any like personality types or like signs or whatever, for sure, like generalizations. All right. So our final question for you today, Gennie, is what is the main focus within the company for the rest of the year? And are there any 2021 goals you want to share business related or personally with us?
Goals. What a concept. 2021, we can make them again. Yes. So I think our biggest focus in the business is this transition to becoming a sustainable self-care brand. So, some of the products that we have, we're sort of curating our selection. So we're getting rid of some things, we're bringing new ones in, and it's a huge shift. And so we're trying to communicate that to our customers with like a lot of honesty and transparency, and maybe even show a little bit of the behind the scenes. Like, this is what it's like working at a small woman-owned startup. And this is what it's like to, design new products that are still earth-friendly. So I think really telling that story in a very personal and behind-the-scenes way, that's kind of what's really exciting me. And then we're also in the middle of that rebrand. So we might be picking a new logo, new color scheme, new fonts. Like, it's, really, really.
What? But the little the little wave.
Oh,
is my
I know. We'll keep the wave.
favorite.
We will. It'll just be like,
Okay.
slightly more illustrated.
Just
Exactly.
updated.
Exactly. That's really funny though, because I have that
Fancier.
wave as a tattoo, and so I'm like, I love it too.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think our main goal is to like just remind people that like self-care isn't selfish, and to kind of empower people to have these routines and take time for themselves in what can be like a really busy time, a big time of like activism. And a lot of the people in our community are like big environmentalists, and they're doing a lot of work in that area. It might even be what they do for their jobs. And so just reminding people to like take that time whenever they can, and to feel good about doing it, So, but I think we're still trying to be creative with finding how we can connect with our community now that it's not in person. So maybe it's events, maybe it's, online stuff. But that's kind of another goal, is to like find ways to connect again.
Right. That totally makes sense.
It's like the ultimate 2021 goal,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, find ways
Totally,
to reconnect,
totally.
Yeah, Will and I went to a wedding a couple weekends back. It was less than 20 people,
Aw.
but I told him, I said, I don't know how to talk to strangers anymore. And that much is very clear from how this weekend is going.
I know. It's like small talk. What is that? Never heard of her.
I'm like, this is using a lot of my energy right now.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's everyone's goal. Well, I'm so glad you gave us almost an hour of your
I
time
had so much
today.
fun.
I was going to say, I'll let Cammie do housekeeping and everything, but after you tell us, she loves doing housekeeping.
I love when I get to do housekeeping. I feel so official.
So
oh my
good.
gosh.
But first, tell us where we can find you personally, Gennie, as well as all things
fun.
Eco
Okay, yes.
Collective.
You can find me and my dog at It's Jen Fisher on Instagram. And you can find
Okay.
Eco Collective on Instagram too. It's at ecocollective_. And we have the Eco Collective podcast if you want to know what it's like to, work with a team in a startup and hear more about our chaotic world.
I've loved it so far. I think it is very fun. I've been listening to all of them.
That's why you have such a fancy mic. Oh, I love it. Okay.
Yep, totally.
She's so legit over here. Oh my goodness. Yes, this was so fun. Thanks for coming on. I know our audience will just like love hearing all the things, because you're like, I think you're the person who's had like the biggest
That's so
team that we've had
cool.
on. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go through. But
I can remember Kickstart Accounting.
Oh,
they
yeah.
have quite a few people as
quite
well.
a few. But it was just really cool to get like an insider perspective on it, because we didn't really talk about that with.
Well, that's so
Kickstart
fun
Accounting.
because I love
But
listening to
anyway,
the podcast too. So
my-
it's fun to be here.
Yeah. Gosh, thank you.
My brain honestly like needed a break from like paper products and like
Yes.
notepads and all those things anyways. So it felt like I was like, oh, this is like a good reset to talk about something that's like
I know,
not
it's
the
kinda
norm for
refreshing.
us.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can learn things from any type of business
Yeah.
owner. I mean, any
Yes,
type of
so
industry,
true.
you know? So there's
Yeah.
always things to pick up on. But yeah, okay, guys, I gotta do my housekeeping. Everyone settle down. It's housekeeping time. Okay, so if you have questions for us, just go to bizbirthdaybash.com/Q&Cake. Leave your questions there. Guys, they can be fun questions. They can be serious questions. They can be really long questions, really short questions. Normally you guys write novels. So if you want to do that, feel free. So do those there and we'll answer them on our Q&Cake episodes. And then of course, if you are enjoying our podcast, leave us a 5-star rating review on iTunes so we can keep bringing on more awesome guests like Gennie to talk to you and share all things business. You know what? And while you're doing that, why don't you just screenshot it, post it on Instagram stories, tag us. We love seeing you guys are listening. And I think that's it for housekeeping. I might have forgotten to ask, but we just love having you guys here. And thank you, Gennie. This was
so
awesome.
fun. Thanks for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, everybody, we will see you guys next time. So have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Bye.
Hey guys, we just wanted to hop in and talk about one of our amazing resources, the A to Z directory. All of us have thought at some point, how did she do that or how did she make that? And maybe you don't know where to start or how the heck to produce this amazing product you've dreamt up.
Well, the A to Z directory is the missing puzzle piece in your biz, you guys. Seriously. So it's built in the form of a yearly membership, and it's your one-stop shop for finding suppliers and vendors for all the things. Literally where to print everything from custom invitations, greeting cards, mugs, koozies, acrylic printing, letterpress, custom ribbon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it literally goes from A to Z. From acrylic printers to zipper pouches, we have it in the A to Z directory.
We want to help all of you search less and create more with this list of 300 plus vendors and suppliers. Don't worry, they're very organized. It's not going to be overwhelming and confusing when you join. And this membership also includes access to a private Facebook community. It's incredibly active and involved. And if you need a question answered fast, that is definitely the place to go.
Yeah, our Facebook group really is the best. You guys, everyone is so helpful in there. And we're in there too, answering questions you guys might have. So it's a great way to get access to us and ask us things without sliding into our DMs. So we're more likely to answer you in the Facebook group, just saying. Anyway, also in the Facebook group, this is new for 2020 and we're really excited about it. We are hosting monthly Power Hour Q&A sessions that are live, and these are only available to our A to Z directory members. So you can hop in with us live and ask us all your burning questions in real time and just hang out with us every month. And we do these at different times so you can actually be there live, and the replays are always available in the Facebook group for members.
This resource is priced at $147 a year, which honestly is extremely affordable and is full of so many benefits, such as exclusive vendor coupons for members only. And we would love to have you guys join. Seriously, it's kind of like our family and our tribe. So visit bizbirthdaybash.com/directory to sign up today and use coupon code podcast2020 to receive $20 off your first year. That's podcast, all caps, 2020 for $20 off your first year.
We can't wait to see you in the Facebook group.